Welcome back, arcade fans. How are we all doing? Tony here with this week's video, which is going to be a little bit different. A while back, a Vin Videos requested that I do an overview of my arcade cabinet. And on the Digital Arcade Facebook group, we've been having a poll as to which video I did next. And this got the most votes, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking a look at my arcade cabinet, see all its features, everything that's on it, and give you a little overview and rundown of the machine that you see me playing on quite regularly. So let's give it a go. Okay, so we're going to start off, we're going to show you around the machine. Now I've turned the sound down on the machine so that we don't get distracted by it. As much as I love the sounds of all the arcade machines, I'm sure if the sound was blurting out the whole thing, it would totally distract and detract from the video that we're trying to see here. So we're going to start off just panning around the machine just to take a little look at it. You can see it's covered in artwork all the way around the sides on the control panel and on the front of the machine. It depicts all the various different games, well not all the games obviously, but various different games from the arcade. I didn't want it to show just one game because I didn't want it to look like just a one game machine, which clearly it's not. You'll also probably see the LED lighting down on the floor that I've got. That's just separate from the machine, and I've also got some LED lighting around the ceiling as well, just to give it that kind of arcadey sort of effect. Okay, so that's what the machine looks like from the outside. I'll give a proper view now of the side of the machine, just so that you can see all the different games. So if we start panning down the side of the machine, at the very top here, we can see 1942. And if we start scrolling down, you can probably make out the outlines of Pac-Man. And then further down, you can see what looks like Bomberman. I don't really think I ever really played Bomberman. You can see the bombs there and Bomberman himself. Then we got Frogger, clearly make out Frogger, and Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. as we start to go down towards the bottom. Then we can see what looks like a beat-em-up game. I'm not quite sure what game that is, but it's certainly a beat-em-up game. And Cubert poking his head out there. But also we've got Dragon's Lair down at the very bottom of the machine. Now I'm not going to show you the other side because the other side is exactly the same. So both sides do look exactly the same. So let's have a look now at the actual marquee. Now the marquee, when you see my videos, it will look like I've got an LED marquee showing you the name of the game, but in fact I'm just superimposing the marquee on top of my videos. I don't have an interchangeable marquee, it's just a static marquee that once again carries on the theme of the machine, showing all the various games that you can play. Now I would actually like to have an actual LED marquee that changes for every game, but I'm not a DIY person. There is no way on earth that I would dare take this apart and start taking out the marquee, chopping up the wood and trying to fit an LED marquee in here, because I would just make an absolute mess of it. So I would like to know if there is anyone out there in the UK, that is, because I am obviously in England, that would actually be able to do this. I mean, I imagine the top itself will just screw off. I imagine it will just pop up and then you could probably slide this marquee out, put an LED marquee in and then build a frame around it to fit in with this, but it would be higher up because it's quite a thin marquee, which means I'd have to have a new top made to actually then fill and complete the machine, which is certainly something I would not dare to attempt at all. Now this machine was actually made by Ultimate Arcade Cabinets. Unfortunately they're not actually running anymore. I don't know why, but probably because there's so many other businesses out there that they maybe couldn't compete with it, but they were very, very good. It's got a 27 inch monitor, so it's not massive, but when you actually, it's a widescreen obviously, but if you actually look at it as a 4:3 ratio, probably about here, it probably is about the 19-inch monitor size that you had in normal arcade machines. But obviously if I was playing a vertical game, which would be 3:4 instead of 4:3, I'm probably only getting about a 17-inch screen. So would be nice to maybe have had a 32-inch screen or something like that, just to be a little bit bigger, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the size of it. It is a decent size monitor. So let's carry on and start looking down the front of the machine. Okay, so we're going to come back to the control panel in a minute, but as we start to pan down the front of the machine, we've got what looks like something from probably Street Fighter. Now, I'm not a beat 'em up fan at all, can't stand beat 'em up games, but I do think that bit of artwork looks pretty cool on the front of the machine. And again, you can see the outline of Pac-Man. So you've got the maze of Pac-Man. As we scroll down to the bottom, you can then see the planet that you would see in the iconic Space Invaders. And of course, that's also got the subwoofer in the front of that, which obviously then brings out the bass in all of the games. So that's the front of the machine. You've got the USB ports there as well for plugging things in, which I'm going to come on to in a moment. So let's now look at the control panel. This is obviously a very important feature of any arcade cabinet. I wanted to be able to play all the games in the way they would have been played in the arcade, which means God knows how many different types of controllers. So certain things had to give, and I've had to do other things to be able to do that. So if we look at the control panel now, quite clearly it's 2-player. Ideally, I should have really had a 4-player, because then I would probably have had room for all the controls that I would have needed. So I chose blue for player 1, red for player 2. Perhaps I should have done it the other way around, because generally red is player 1, but I like blue. And that's the colour that I play with most of the time, is the blue one. So I had a spinner added to the machine. That's for playing games like Tron and Arkanoid and any of the games of the spinners. You know, Tempest, those kind of games. I wanted to be able to play them. It didn't come with that as default, so I've got that added as an extra. Now, the flight stick, if we have a look in the middle, the big hole that we see there, that's where the trackball would normally go. So obviously that space was left there, but I don't really play trackball games so much. And I wanted a flight stick because I like playing games like Tron, Space Harrier, and I want to play them the way they would have been played in the arcade. Now, originally, this machine came with this flight stick. Okay, so this actually filled the gap. If we have a look at the curvature of this, that's underneath and actually filled the gap that you see here. But there's just 2 problems with this. The first problem, quite a neatly problem for me, is it's actually a right-handed joystick. So when you look, I don't know if you can see, possibly if I show it to the camera, it's actually been shaped for a right hand. So if I put my right hand around it, it actually fits this like a glove. It fits perfectly. But I'm left-handed. So if I try and play it with my left hand, this just feels so awkward because it's for a right-handed person, which really, it just niggled at me. But the main reason that I really wanted to change this was because if you look how tall this actually is. So if this was sitting in the machine where the current stick is, it's a lot higher up. Now, when I play normal games, it's absolutely fine because I'm standing here, I'm looking over it, I can see the whole screen. But if I was actually playing light gun games, I can't stand in front of the screen. I've got to stand back. Now, when you stood back and you're seeing this here, I could always see literally the top of the gun in front of the screen. Now, a lot of people wouldn't really worry about that, but for me, it was just like, it was just getting in the way. I just didn't want it there. So as much as I could have just coped with it, I thought, well, I'm actually able to change it out for a smaller joystick. So I got hold of the Ultimark joystick, which, as you can see, it's a lot smaller. And by using this, it doesn't then cover up the screen. When I'm stood back, it's just underneath the screen and it's absolutely perfect. But, of course, I had to take out the old joystick, change the inside, a bit of DIY, which I don't do, change the actual housing and how it actually sat there. But, of course, it does leave me with the hole that you can actually see in front of the joystick. So it's not bad, but I would like to actually improve on that. Now, I have actually got someone making me a bit of a housing that's hopefully going to fit in there and cover up the hole to make it look a little bit better. But if anyone else has got any ideas how I could fill that hole with the joystick there, again, let me know in the comments. I'm welcome up to any suggestions that you've actually got. If we move over to the far right hand side, we've then got the quit button. That's obviously escape for getting out of the games and getting out of the menus, etc. And then we've got the player 1, player 2 buttons. Now, if you have a look at my player 1 button, the player is missing. He's not there. That's because the player 1 button is not just the player 1 start, it's also the select button. So it gets a heck of a lot of presses, and I'm guessing through sweaty hands and lots of presses, I've actually rubbed out the player. So I've actually been given very kindly a new player 1 button where I can actually then replace the button and make it look a bit more normal again. And then finally at the end we've got the credit button. Press the button to put in credit. So it's fairly straightforward, but it's got all the bits and pieces that I need to play most of the games, but there's still a couple of bits missing. So we're now going to get on to all the attachments that I've actually got on the machine as well, because there's lots more still to come. Okay, so the other thing I haven't spoken about yet is the spinner that's on the front of the machine. I don't actually use it as a spinner because it would be a little bit awkward trying to spin and play games using that particular spinner, but obviously it has its uses, so I'll be coming on to that in a moment. Now, as I said, I turned the volume down on the machine earlier on so we don't get distracted by the sounds. But there is one little thing that really sort of niggles at me with this machine, and it's where the volume controls are. Now, I'm not going to pull the machine out to get at the back. The back is plain. It basically has a couple of handles on the back. They're basically holes in the machine. When you tip it up, you can obviously use it to grip onto it and move it about, because it's also on wheels. Now, the volume controls are just inside that, which means I've actually got to go around the machine and reach around like this to adjust the volume. So if I turn the volume up, now we can probably hear the machine a little bit more. So let's turn it back down again so we don't want to get distracted by it. But it is a little bit awkward. I just wish the controls had been put in a place where they were more easily accessible and I could really mess around with the volumes as I so wish. Sometimes I want to turn the sound up if I'm on my own. If there's people in the house, I want to turn the sound down. And it is, as you can see, it is a bit awkward. But also behind the machine are the guns. So they're in holsters. If I reach behind, and I can take the guns out, and then there we go, we have got our aim track light guns. Now, lots of people don't like aim track light guns. They like Sinden, gun for IR. There's all sorts of guns out there now. They've all got their little quirks. They've all got their problems. So I've not really had too many problems with the aim track. I quite like it. It's not a bad gun at all. So there's things like the Sinden gun. That comes with you have to have the white border around your screen to play the games, which I think, well, for me, the arcade didn't have white borders around it. So me personally, that would irritate me. I know some people it wouldn't, but me personally, the white border would irritate me just seeing that whilst I'm playing a game knowing that it wasn't there in the arcade. So these, I mean, they look like pretty good arcade guns. And they fire well, and you get the option of having recoil or no recoil. If you don't have recoil, obviously it's cheaper. You can also have it without recoil if you don't physically plug it in, but then what's the point in that? You're paying a lot more for your gun to not use something. So if you don't have recoil and you fire it, to me that just, I don't actually feel like I'm firing a gun. I feel like I'm just pressing a button. So I need to have the recoil. So if I point it at the screen and I stood back a bit, hopefully, there we go. Now you can hear the recoil. So on a video, that's probably a little bit irritating, but obviously to play a game, you can feel the gun and you can hear it, then it actually feels like you're playing the arcade game again, because all the arcade games, pretty much all of them as far as I know, had recoil. So again, it's just like playing a game as you would in the arcade. Now, one problem, this is one warning if you are going to get aim track, and I do like them, they are really good. It's the lead and it's the power lead. You're only going to have the recoil version. So there's two leads inside here. One is obviously the USB lead that connects the gun itself to the computer. The second lead, it's the power lead. You need the power lead to run the recoil. Now the problem with it is that the actual lead itself, the power lead that is, it's ridiculously thin. Now, the more you're playing games, you can see, you know, eventually you're going to bend the wire on these guns, and just that simple bending is enough to break the power cable. So sometimes I was playing it, and, you know, I might get a bit of recoil and then it would stop, and that was basically because the gun was moving and it was just catching the connection again to make it recoil, and then it was losing it again. So luckily I've got a friend who's pretty good at this kind of stuff, and we took the gun apart, we stripped the wire down, split the wires apart, and replaced the power cable with a much thicker cable. Put it all back together again, used heat shrink, which you're seeing at the top here. I don't know if you could probably see it on the camera, maybe not, and a braiding to then cover the two wires, and now it works absolutely perfectly. So it really is a great gun for playing light gun games, which when I do my videos, it's a bit of a pain, because what I tend to do, I'm stood away from the screen, you can't see me, so I actually put a green screen up behind me over on this side somewhere. So I've got two cameras going, one filming the game, one filming me with the gun behind a green screen, and then I superimpose myself onto the screen so you can actually see me using the gun, and again seeing my reactions. Probably why I've not done so many light gun games, because it is a bit of a faff to set it up and get it going, but hopefully it makes the videos look a lot better. So that's the aim track light guns, and hopefully that might help you decide whether you want them or not. Again, they've all got their problems. I've seen problems with Sindons, problems with Gun for IR, so it's a big choice really. I've got two guns, one on the left, one on the right. Let's pop that back into the holster. Okay, so the next thing, we noticed that I don't have a trackball because I've actually got the flight stick in its place. But I have got a trackball. If I reach over for it, okay, here it is. So it's just standalone. It's just a trackball. I've actually stuck some suckers on there. What I need to do if I want to play a trackball game, I don't really play them much, plonk it straight on the machine. Doesn't stick brilliantly to this particular surface, I must admit, but it does at least work. So like the spinner, I'm left-handed, so I put it on the left-hand side. If you were right-handed, you could put it on the right-hand side, and it's a simple USB plug and play. So I can just plug it in to the USB port on the front, and then I can just play a game of any trackball game, centipede, millipede, crystal castles. And because I'm left-handed, what I tend to do is I use the player 2 button as my button. But obviously, if you're right-handed, you could just map it as the player 1 button. But that way, at least I can still play trackball games, and it's pretty cool. It just feels pretty much the same as playing it in the arcade. The only thing I do wish it was actually housed in the machine so that it was actually really solid, rather than the fact it can actually move about a little bit whilst it's at the top. But at least I do get to play the games, and you know, as I say, I don't play trackball games quite so much, so it really doesn't bother me as much. It's the one thing I could do with not having. But if I've maybe got a 4-player control panel, then it would definitely have fitted in somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Maybe again, I've got to try and hone in my DIY skills and try and make something where I can maybe have it in front of the machine as a standalone, but solid, to be able to play. Right, so that's the trackball. Now we're going to get onto the spinner on the front of the machine, because this obviously is key for playing driving games. So I could possibly hook my steering wheel that I've actually got, that you will have seen in my driving videos, onto the front of the machine. Might be a little bit awkward because of the spinner being there, but it might possibly work. But what happens for now, I'll simply use this really tiny Allen key to take it off. So we just undo it, and it just neatly slides off to leave just the spinner itself. Now, ultimately, I'll also do the steering wheel. That's a little protector on the back. Let's get rid of the protector. And on the back, it then has the little hole for hooking it straight onto the spinner. But if we look, this is my little gripe, the size of it. It's small, it's about 6 inches. Okay, so my question is, why on earth did they not just make it that bit bigger? All they've got to do exactly the same thing, bigger. I mean, it doesn't need to be that much bigger, and it would be the size of, say, an Outrun steering wheel. And you simply pop it on, And it's supposedly self-holding, so you can't then screw it on like you would the spinner. I think it needs to be, because it does sometimes pop off whilst you're playing, but it's not bad. But it's more like playing with a pole position steering wheel than playing with, say, like your Outrun, your sit-down driving cabinet games. Because it's a spinner, it will just keep spinning. There's no stop point. But it does the job. It means I can play games and I can play Outrun. Now, the other thing that obviously goes with this, let's get it, is the foot pedal. Okay, so this is a really cheap, easy to use foot pedal, and again, it has a USB connection, and we simply plug it in, and it goes on the floor, and it's ready to go. Okay, so if I show you like playing a game with it, let's play Outrun for example, it's actually great. But the thing with the foot pedal is that it is just a switch, so it's just on or off. It's not like an actual pedal where you gradually push it down to gradually accelerate or gradually release it to slow down just a little bit. It is literally, it's on or off. But you do get used to it. It's perfectly playable. If I actually want to do a gradual thing, my foot usually goes on and off it, up and down. But yeah, you get used to using that as a controller, and I think it actually works pretty well. So the only thing being is it's not got a stop on it. It doesn't have a spring on it, so you don't get the spring feeling that you would do if you were, say, playing Outrun. But it is exactly the same as if you were playing pole position or any of those kind of games. So yeah, it's a really good thing. I just wish that they'd made it that bit bigger, because I mean, seriously, that is small. They just didn't need to make it that small. It really could have been so much better than being that small. So let's put that away. We'll take away the pedals, and we'll go on to the final add-on that I've actually got. And this one is one you may have seen before, and it is my custom-made Atari yoke controller. Now, as I said, I am absolutely awful at DIY, and I made this. I actually cannot believe that I actually made this. It doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit bigger in size than an Atari yoke, but it works and it does the job. As you can see, I've already got the Y-axis for that. That's why, I mean, you can buy them. You can get a GRS yoke, which is quite expensive, but that's got both the X and the Y, and then I'd have no way of connecting it up to my control panel. But because I've already got the X-axis there, all this does is the Y, and I simply, like the steering wheel, I sort of plug it straight in, and there it is, it's on. It has a USB connector. We plug it in, and then that is our Atari yoke ready to go. But once again, because it's on a spinner, the difference being is it doesn't have a stop point. It will just keep spinning. And the same for these. I could obviously put a stop on these, and it will actually then stop you going so far. That could be the stop point there, and this could be the stop point there, but it doesn't have the stop points. So yes, it's for playing games like Star Wars, and it plays it absolutely perfectly well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all, and I can finally play Star Wars and all those other kind of games, even games like Starblade or even Paperboy or Road Blasters, using this controller, and it just feels so much more like playing it in the arcade, and it does work really, really well. The only problem, again, as I say, is the fact there's no stop point. So if I am playing Star Wars, I was to steer further than the screen, then when I go back the other way, the crosshair is going to be offset from the actual controller itself. It won't be in the right place. But again, I've got it set up so that pretty much as far as I steer it is as far as the cursor goes, so it still works pretty well, and I've got used to sort of very, very quickly recalibrating it if it does go slightly off the target. So again, it's really great for playing the games that I've wanted to play. So I can pretty much play every single game that I used to love in the arcades exactly the way in which they were played. So it is really, really, really good. And I just can't believe that I managed to make something like this, because I am absolutely awful at DIY. I really, really am. If you've seen me do it, you can watch the video. I've got a video on how I made this. I'll put a link to it on here. Okay, Right, so that moves us on to what's probably going to be the final part of this walkthrough, this overview of the cabinet, and that's actually talking about the actual software or the front end that runs it. So let's get into that now. Okay, so if you've seen my videos previously, you'll notice that I'm running Hyperspin as my front end and for launching all of my games, but that's not what it came with. It actually came with a front end called Marla. Now I've kept it on here so that I could actually restore the machine back to exactly how I got it if I really wanted to. So if I scroll up, I've actually left it here. So this is the Marla front end, and if I select it, it will just load it up. So this used to actually load by default as soon as I turn the machine on. Now the first thing you might notice is that the theme of Marla actually matches the theme of my actual machine. All the graphics themselves are pretty much what you see around the outside of the machine. So it's quite a simple to use front end. I've got a favourites list here. I can go left or right to see light gun games, another set of light gun games. I don't really know why that's there. My most played games, pinball games, and then obviously the main list. As you can see, there's a heck of a lot of games here, 4,866, of which probably most of them are Mahjong. So double joystick, driving games, yeah, it was all there, and I had my favourites. Is Donkey Kong in this? I was going to show you something on there. So Donkey Kong is, there it is, Donkey Kong. So again, it doesn't have a video, it just has a picture of the game. So again, scrolling through it, you've just got pictures of the game. Now I know I've got two different versions of Donkey Kong here. I'm not sure which one's which, not that it really matters. Again, if I wanted to swap emulators, I think it was the player 2 button, turn right. Was that it? Hold down number 2 and move the joystick right. Here we go, yeah. So then I've got Laserdisc games there, and then we could go further on. Model 2, Japanese shoot 'em ups, yeah. Atari 2600. So there's a few of the consoles there as well. I don't really play consoles. I'm more for the arcade, so I didn't really use these. But you'll notice there's nothing on here like Sega Naomi. There's no Model 3. So you can add them on, but I found it's really, really difficult adding systems onto Marla. I didn't really know how to do it, so all I was stuck with was what was actually there. If we go back to say that the main games, as it were, if I load up Donkey Kong, it's just got a little noise, it loads, and then it'll pop up. Hopefully, anyway. Been a long time since I've used this, so I have added the bezels to it. It didn't have bezels at all to start with, so if you have a look at that, my high score there, 91,900, which isn't actually a lot. So I thought, well, I actually want to, I'd like something a lot more visual, as like Hyperspin is, and there's a lot of other front ends now that do much the same as Hyperspin and show you sort of videos of the games, and it just gives you a lot more than what this particularly does to go in and select your game. So I actually had to install Hyperspin myself, and what I did was I left this on the hard drive of the machine. This is all on the hard drive. I created, I bought another internal hard drive, set up Hyperspin on there, put all the games on there as well, and then just added it into the machine. So it's now, that sits separately to this, completely separately, even the actual game version. So if I come out of this and then go back to Hyperspin, if I were then to load up Donkey Kong, if I go into my favourites, be easier to find. It's a lot easier to find games again on Hyperspin than it is on Marla. If I go into E, it's towards the end of D, and then we go to Donkey Kong. So yeah, we can see the attract screens. It looks so much better than what Marla did. A lot better. And of course, when we load it up, you've got the option of putting a fade-in screen as well, so you can see the arcade cabinet and whatever you want, really. It just looks so much better. The game itself will be exactly the same. You have the same bezel. You'll notice different high score because it's sitting on a completely different drive. So that's really my Hyperspin. And if I come out of that and go back into the actual menu, you'll see I've got main 173 added on here, which is that's to play one particular game that won't run on the newer versions of MAME. Then I've got homebrew MAME, and then we start going into the Laserdisc Daphne, Model 2, and what we didn't see on Marla was I've got Model 3, I've got Naomi, I've got PC games as well, which is where you may well have seen my Ghosts and Demons video. And then we've got the consoles as well. Again, as I say, I don't really play consoles as much. I'm more for the arcades, but they are all there. Now, there is a couple of things that I have a problem with. The first thing is hypersearch. So hypersearch is used for just searching games, because there's so many thousands of games on your machine. You could be looking for a game and you could be hunting forever for it, not knowing where to find it. Especially if you're going through M and it's Mahjong and you've got absolutely loads of Mahjongs on there. So you use hypersearch to literally search for a game you want. Now, I can't get it to work. The first thing I want to say is that I've actually got Windows 7 on this machine still. It came with Windows 7 and it actually said, do not update your Windows, do not connect it to the internet. So a little bit kind of scared really to update it. I do need to update it. I definitely need to update it to Windows 10, but I'm kind of scared if I update it to Windows 10 and there's a problem with the update happening, then it might actually mess up my machine, and then I've not got no arcade machine to play anymore. So I'm just a little bit nervous about doing that, or maybe something won't work properly. But I do have a Windows 10 laptop, which you will have seen me playing my driving games on. That runs everything exactly as you see on here. But it's the same thing. I cannot get hypersearch to work. So yeah, if anyone knows how I can set up hypersearch, that would be great. Okay, so last but not least, the other thing that I've not been able to set up is actually getting into the individual emulator settings directly from Hyperspin. If I actually want to change a setting on an emulator, say a control or something like that, I've got to shut Hyperspin down. I've got to attach my keyboard, open up the Explorer, find the actual individual emulator, open the emulator, and go through all the rigmarole of actually having to change something, or even if I just want to just test something out. That's what I need to do, and then reload it all up to give it another go. I have seen some videos of people actually using a Hyperspin screen where all the options for all your different emulators are within Hyperspin itself, so you can actually get into the emulator settings directly from Hyperspin. However, I've not been able to find the files or anything on how to do it. So if anyone does know where those files are, what I need to do to set that up, that would be really good to know. I'd love to be able to get in and do that as well. But other than that, that is the end of my cabinet overview. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you've got any comments or anything you want to put in, then just let me know. Just put something in the comments and I'll get back to you. So that's your cabinet overview of the cabinet that I use. Thank you for watching and get voting on your next game you want to see me play. See you all soon.